Hey guys, I'm about to start recording my second video. I'm super excited about my YouTube channel. The first video got a lot of recognition, in my opinion. My desire to share is growing, so I will aim to do one video per week and see where this takes me. In today's video, what I want to talk about is I want to talk about my journey as a trader. The journey that started in 2020, about 5 years ago. I remember, well, let's get straight into it. So, what I will share with you isn't a tutorial, it's not a strategy breakdown. It's the raw truth of what it took me to get to a point where I am right now. And it took me about 5 years to become consistently confident in my trading abilities, to finally start making money in the market, to stop losing money in the market, as opposed to the previous 5 years. Most of what was happening is that I was making the same mistakes and I was just giving money back to the market over and over and over again. So this is a story about the transformation, not only about my bank account, but also about me as a person, me as a human being, me as a trader, me as a father, as a husband, as a friend, as a colleague, me rediscovering myself basically through trading. So that's what this video is going to be about. Because somewhere along the path in all this chaos, I have found my path. I have found a path to stillness, to confidence, to myself, basically. And trading was a gateway, a vehicle that allowed me to get to a point where I'm at right now. So let's start. In 2020, I started trading and no idea, absolutely no idea, zero, what I was doing. All I knew is that the market was going up and I was buying everything. I was making a shitload of money and simple, easy. And I really thought that I have managed to crack it. I thought that that was it. It's going to be that easy forever, and I will be the next George Soros or Warren Buffett. And each year I will just multiply my account, and that's it. But I didn't realize I was just lucky at the time, surfing the tide of the bull market. At that time, the bull market was booming, and you could have strapped a monkey to a computer and it would have clicked buttons and made money as well. So there was no skill in me making money back then, even though it was a lot of money. There was no plan, there was no risk management, no process, just straight aggression, greed, and an absence of fear. And that really did work until it didn't. 2001, reality hit like a truck. I remember in January 2021, I was up big. In 1 month, I was up a few $100,000. And in February and March, I gave it all back and more, significantly more. And it kept getting worse. With every single month since then, it kept getting worse because I kept doing the same thing over and over again. I kept doubling down. I kept on trying to add to the losers. I didn't want to get stopped out. I basically had all the mistakes that rookie traders make, especially the ones that are very aggressive like I was. And that basically the market humbled me really, really fast. I didn't know how to wait. I didn't respect risk. It was basically a slow motion crash. That's what it was that year. And that year I wrote to myself a few painful truths. That the market can always go lower. I have to expect that, be ready for it if it does. There's always another trade. When you fork, sell. I cannot what's going to happen in the market. All I can do is manage risk, have a plan, or the market will humble you. And it did. That year cost me pretty much everything that I have made the prior year. But I was still up. So I kept going and I felt like I wanted to get back to where I was the previous year, to feel that dopamine rush, that excitement of making money in the market. So I kept trading. And 2022 was a year where I basically gave back everything and more, everything that I have set aside for day trading. I simply lost confidence in my ability to trade. I was devastating. But I moved to the United States that year for a few years and decided that I wanted to really get to the bottom of what it is like to trade, because obviously all of us go online, go on YouTube, we go on Instagram, we see people that are making hundreds of thousands, millions, day traders trading a few hours a day and basically living the life on their terms. And I didn't think it was that difficult. Like, I wanted to understand, what do they have that I don't? So in the United States, I bought every course, I joined every chat group, I talked to every trading coach. I mean, I talked to some of the most prominent people in the industry, and I even went and traded in Florida with a group of people for a few months, just to realize that everything that you see on social, maybe 5 to 10% of that is the truth. The rest is complete BS. I mean, trading alongside the people, the gurus that are famous in the industry but in reality, I mean, not making money. Some of them were not even fucking trading. They would just sell courses and make the appearance that they were trading. So the reality was, to me, was like, there's something fishy going on over here. And while I understood that, I kept losing money. So I started trading carefully, but I still lost because I was really broken inside. I didn't understand myself. I didn't understand my impulsiveness, my fear of missing out, my shame. I was trading to survive, not to win. I was trading to avoid the pain. That's what that year, the 2022, gave me. I had simple rules at the time. I started realizing 2, 3 positions max was the way, not over trading, because that would get me off balance. I started using stops on every trade. I started having a profit target. I started journaling. I got a buddy, even though that didn't really help a lot because the accountability was not there still. And if I felt impulsive, I would force myself to stop for the day. I would have all the right risk rules. I just simply could not follow them. There was no consistency. So I was lost, I was depressed, and I kept on fucking losing. So to me at that time, staked so much on trading as an additional source of income, and being the high achiever that came to trading from financial markets background, that was like a huge, humongous hit to the ego. My ego was screaming that, like, you can't do it. Like, other people can do it and you can't. You need to go and prove that you can. So the more I forced things, the more the market humbled me. 2023, which was my third year, I kept trading. I started trading futures. I still didn't understand the basics, really, support zones, candle patterns, context, but something started to shift. So you have to understand that as I traded, I consumed so much information. I consumed technical analysis, psychology. I consumed different strategies, and I had a lot of knowledge. Like, I had much more knowledge that I could even use. The knowledge was not the case. Like, I felt like I knew what I needed to know in order to be successful in trading, but I just couldn't follow the rules. I just couldn't deal with myself not being able to manage my emotions of fear, greed, of impulsiveness. And that was the main driving force behind my bank account and trading. But still, slowly something started to shift. By the fall, I was just looking at the charts. Started looking inward. I started testing new strategies, but more important, I started seeing that I was the biggest variable, myself. Whenever I felt like shit, I traded like shit. Whenever I felt grounded, whenever I slept well, whenever I came to the market with a clear head, I could see that there was some correlation with the results that I was getting as a day trader. And as I have lost all the money that I have set aside for trading, and I didn't really want to continue losing because it was simply like a bottomless pit, I started using prop capital money. So I decided that until I learn how to trade, I would use prop capital. I would use proprietary trading firms' capital. Luckily, there were a lot of them available, and since I was trading futures, I started using a few of them. So that gave me a bit of a breathing room from all the stress of constantly losing money. So slowly a structure started to form. I wasn't consistent yet, but I could see the light coming in. I felt like the secret was revealing itself, not all at once, but piece by piece. That year was the breakthrough, and I passed a few evaluations. I got a few payouts. I was still not profitable, but at least I stopped the downward spiral of constantly losing money every single month. So that gave me a hint that just maybe I'm not fucking hopeless and I can trade and I can become consistently profitable at some stage. But that was maybe 10% of the time. The other 90% of the time, I was still all over the place. I was still aggressively chasing the market, doubling down on losing positions, not willing to take a loss, not willing to acknowledge that I have lost on a trade. You see, it's very difficult when you are trading to win as opposed to when you're trading to follow the process, which means that not all of your trades will be winners. But that came to me only later. That at that time, even last year, I was still trying to avoid losses and have the highest win percentage that I could, which is simply not feasible for best traders. Most of them, if you have a trading strategy, right now my win percentage is slightly more than 50, maybe 55. And it is amazing because the losers are small, but the winners are larger. But in order to get there, you have to be ready. And I had to learn how to become comfortable with losing, because losing is a natural part of winning. But while my ego was so attached to me, the winning identity, every loss felt like a fucking stab in the heart. And that was the limiting factor in my trading. I could not simply be okay with losing in some of the trades. So 2024, last year, was a year that I finally started to really get it. I realized that it was not about my knowledge. It was not about the market. It was all about having a clear plan and sticking to it every single day. And in order to do that, I realized that I had to change. My approach had to change. My limiting beliefs, my fears, stuff that I felt inside, my emotions could not be the ones dictating what I do in the market. The plan had to be the ruler, not the fears, not the beliefs, like in the previous several years. My subconscious prior to that point was in control. It still is sometimes. I can't say that I'm completely out of the woods yet, but at least now I know when my ego and my fears take control and I'm capable of taking a step back. So through all the work, I started seeing some of the traumas that I had started play out in the charts. As we all do, as I told you several times in the past and in the previous video, the trading is a mirror of ourselves, of our fears, of our insecurities, of the stuff that we have experienced as children. Some people have traumas, some people have fears that prohibit them from achieving certain things. Some people don't. But the majority of people, they still trade themselves. They trade, when they trade, it's like a mirror. It reflects back on them what they are. For me, it was fear of missing out. That wasn't about the money. That was fear of being potentially abandoned. A fear that I had since childhood. It's something that I have uncovered also in part thanks to trading and managed to deal with it. So now that I am no longer subconsciously experience that fear. My mind would literally create near-death emotional situations when things were fine. So I would jeopardize myself into a situation where we get to the base level of being stressed again, so that my nervous system, so that my subconscious could feel the familiar state of comfort zone. So the pattern was always the same. I would make a lot of progress and then I would go and jeopardize everything so I could get back to the basics. And because I was journaling, I was able to see the patterns and it didn't make any sense. So I figured that if it wasn't Albert Sagirian, but it was somebody else in my shoes who didn't have the same fears and limiting beliefs, maybe he would have acted out differently in those situations. So that meant that I can actually change and become a different person in order to get a different result from trading. So, like I said, just to feel the stress, I had learned to live with. I would always get back to the baseline. And once I saw that, I could start to begin to rewrite it. The subconscious became conscious, started to become conscious. And I started to take back the control from my ego. I began to calm down, and that was the most important part of it all. 2025, the shift is real now. I began coaching in the beginning of the year, at the end of last year, and a guy really, his name is Guy Levy, he's a markets coach. He really helped me to piece all the different missing pieces and all the scattered pieces of what I knew about myself, about the markets together. And that was when the real shift started happening, not just in trading, but in life. Not because I have arrived, but because I have finally had something honest to share with myself, to understand about myself, and I could rebalance my mind, my brain, my amygdala. I stopped letting ego take control of my trading. It still does take control of my trading, but at least now when it does try to hijack the trading process through impulsiveness, through things that are outside of the plan, I see it because I am aware. Years of pain have led me to a point where I can differentiate myself from my ego. It doesn't mean that the self is trading now and the ego is calmly looking from the sidelines how we're making money. No, this is not the case. The ego is still there. And whenever I'm out of balance, the ego rises up and tries to take control. So on those days when I don't feel like 100% I'm in the zone, I try not to scalp. I try not to day trade, and I basically go around about and do other business, and everything is fine. And I come back to the screens to trade whenever I feel like I am in the zone that day. So like I said, I started taking back the control. February 21st, I completed a challenge. I did 25 trades. Like Mark Douglas said, do 25 trades and you will rewire your brain to follow the plan fully. It changed a lot, changed pretty much everything, because that rewiring of the brain allowed my brain to see that there's, irrespective of the outcome, it's okay. We're not going to die. If we have 5 losers in a row, if we lose thousands of dollars in a row following up, we follow our plan, the likelihood is that in the long run, you will make money. So that helped me rewire the brain and accept losses, because previously I couldn't accept losses, like I said. And that's no luck. There was definitely a high reward for staying in the fire and doing the inner work. All those countless nights of desperation, of not understanding why I cannot do the things that I know I should be doing. It's like, you know that you need to do A, B, C, D to make money, and there's something inside you that is jeopardizing you to do A, B, C, D, to make a shitload of money from the markets. You know what to do, you simply cannot do it. And that, my friends, is, to me, and maybe to a lot of you who are watching this, that's the difference maker. To allow to see the separation between the ego and the impulsiveness, the fears, and the true self. The true self is the plan. The plan knows what needs to happen. The other side trades from fear. Trade from fear, you lose. Trade from the plan, manage your emotions, balance. Over the long run, you will guaranteed to be making money if your system has an edge. So to finish this off, if you're in the struggle, I see you. I've been there. If you're drowning in doubt, I've been there as well, for years of desperation. If you're wondering if it's worth it, I can say that it is, because at the other side is the new you, the type of person who is in control, not only of trading. That's not the goal. The goal is to be in control of your life. And trading allows us to face that part of ourselves that we try to hide and change it and become the better version, the kind of version that we know is capable of being consistently profitable in trading as well, and be happy in life. But not for the money. It's definitely not worth it only for the money. It's worth it for the lifestyle, for the type of person you become on the other side when you come out of the other side of this journey. Trading will test you will test every single part of you. It will break you. But if you let it, it will also remake you. So keep going, keep searching, and maybe one day soon you'll wake up and realize you're finally the trader you used to dream of becoming and the human you were always meant to be. If you like this content, I will continue to share more. Like, comment, subscribe. Thank you very much for watching and speak to you soon.